This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised. Good afternoon and welcome to the Sunset Safari here at Djuma Private Game Reserve and andBeyond Ngala Game Reserve in the Timbavati. We're in the Sabi Sands, and it's a great joy to have you with us on this Saturday afternoon. As always, for the first 45 minutes, we'll be dedicating most of the drive to any questions or comments that kids might have, and you can send your questions to kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. That's kidsquestions@wildearth.tv. We are going to hopefully find some interesting animals this afternoon. It's been pretty rainy so far during the course of the day, so we'll pop down to that hyena den, see if Ribbon's there. Maybe she'll bring her cubs out, maybe she won't. My name is James Henry. On camera today we have got Owen. There he is. And we'll be with you for the next 3 hours, 45 minutes of which, as I say, are dedicated to the kids. On the other vehicle at Djuma, we've got Trishala joining us shortly with any luck. She's just doing a bit of fixing up of a car. Well, she's not doing it, of course. She's sitting there watching somebody doing it, because that's not her beat. And then up at andBeyond Ngala is Rowan. He's going to join us as well. So it's a very attractive afternoon, although it is very rainy. We had quite a lot of rain during the course of the afternoon, or the course of the morning. And so everything feels quite fresh and slightly ominous at the same time. Now, we have a great big surprise for you up at andBeyond Ngala, because Rowan has been out for a while and he's already found the first animal.
Hi and welcome. Good afternoon. Welcome to andBeyond Ngala. My name is Rowan. I'll be your guide for this afternoon. Behind the camera, we have Marcel. Welcome, everyone. Nice to have you back. And the Birmingham Pride. It seems that the kiddies drive on this section is bringing us a lot of good luck, as every single time we get to see them or have them on our show, we find the lions. As you can see, all just grooming each other. We had a little bit of rain today, about 6 milliliters. And they are just licking all the wetness off themselves. Some of them have already gotten up and moved a little bit further and lie down again. So I think just give it a bit of time, and some of the ones lying closer to us would also most probably get up and go join the rest of them. See the one in the back there twirling over and cuddling the larger lioness. Got a question from Nasia, who's 10 years old, asking which predator is most active at night. Actually a very good question. Majority of our larger predators, let's say including leopards, lions and hyenas, are mostly nocturnal. I think if I had to guess or give my own personal opinion, most probably a hyena would walk the furthest, travel the most, and be the most active at night. Though saying that, leopards tend to walk quite a lot. Lions are, being the apex predator, they tend to be quite lazy and quite lethargic, even though they are known to travel vast distances at night. But my guess would be with hyena. You can see the little white lioness now also waking up, also starting to groom herself. And the older male white lion there in the back, staring back at us. So behind us, we have a wildebeest calling. We can't see him at this stage. He's blocked by a few bushes. But he is almost alarm calling at the lions, saying that I have seen you. I know you are here. You have lost the element of surprise. It's interesting to see that all the lions here, they start by cleaning their paws. So we got a question from Ava who's 5 years old, asking why do lions only live in Africa? Ava, I'm going to have to correct you there, but you also get Asiatic lions living in Gir National Park in India. So at this moment, Marcel, just before we got here, we did a little bit of a check quickly to see how many lions there are here. There seems to be 13. Oh, look at those beautiful blue eyes of the little white lioness as she shakes off a bit of water. So there are 13 lions here. The 2 Ross males are not here. The Birmingham sub-adult is lying there in the back next to the white male lion. And we're also missing his sister, the sub-adult lioness. She might be in the river somewhere, in the Timbawati River. Hopefully we'll spend a bit of time looking for those. Oh, so nice little cuddle going on there in the back between older brother and younger brother as they start grooming each other. So while they are grooming each other, we're going to send you back to Trishala. It's got a few impala on Djuma.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome aboard. As you can see, that's exactly what I have. Some impala and wildebeest. Also very, very interesting in grooming. Having a cuddle, not so much. Hello, my name is Trishala with Davy on camera this afternoon. And we are super, super excited because the reason that I think that these impala are up there on that termite mound is that perhaps they've seen or smelt a predator. Look at them. Now that termite mound gives them a little bit of an advantage. So they're a little bit higher, so they can see a little bit better. So I'm going to keep a keen eye out for any signs of a predator. Now we know what to look for in a bush. In that case, we're going to look for some tracks. You know, when you walk on the beach sand and you leave some tracks as you walk, your footprints, animals also leave those as they walk. And we're going to look for that. And also going to listen out if we see any other antelope around, if they actually alarm call for us. Hello, Blake. How are you? I'm so happy to answer your question. You'd like to know which is the hardest animal to track. Well, they're all pretty difficult to track, I must say, but I think that hyenas would be slightly painful to track, and that's because they walk about all over the place, and they don't always use the road. And they wind and go in circles, and they just follow their noses, and they walk however they like. So it's difficult. Even though they have very clear, lovely tracks, they also walk around sometimes in pairs or in a group. We call a group of hyenas a clan. And that can be difficult as they all step on top of each other's tracks. Apart from that, they seem to be on the move at all times of day. So the things that we can normally use as an indicator of time, say vehicle tracks, or if a nocturnal creature is on top of the tracks of a hyena, we can't really do that with them because they're all over the place all the time. So they're very, very difficult to track. It's not that they're hard to find, it's just that if you have to follow tracks, you will end up very far from where the hyena actually is. Tokia, you're from Cape Town. Hello, from our very own country. You'd like to know, what do these animals eat, these antelopes? Well, there's 2 different types here. So the impala, they are mixed feeders. That means that they eat grass, plus they eat leaves. And that's why you can see some of them have their heads down, while others may be stripping leaves from the trees. So we call those a mixed feeder. And that's really nice because it means that if there's no grass around, they can eat the leaves. If there's no leaves around, then they eat grass. Now the wildebeest, they like grass. We call them grazers. And they particularly go after grass. You may occasionally see them eating from trees, eating leaves from trees, but generally that's not what they're after. You can also look at the shapes of their necks. You see that impala have these long necks. that they can stretch downwards for grass, so they can stretch upwards to grab some leaves, while wildebeest are a little bit lower to the ground, their heads. That's because they like grass especially. You could almost mow your lawn with them. Did you see how a lot of those impala just looked in the same direction? They can hear something, but I think they heard some birds. And that's also helpful, but I'm hoping for a more of an obvious alarm call from them. Anyway, guys, I'm going to keep on going, and hopefully we'll be able to find a cat. But Rowan at andBeyond Ngala already has some, so let's go back to him.
Trish, you're quite right. I would not want to be an impala and walk into this pride. I've been watching the little white lioness cleaning her paw quite vigorously for the past couple of minutes, and every now and then it is so gorgeous to see. She just looks up at the wildebeest right behind us, and you can actually see that blue-grey eyes of hers, very different to the other youngster that just stood up to her right. So both her and her brother have that bluish-greyish eyes. You can also see while she's licking her paw, very pink still on the nose, usually a characteristic of a young cat. All young cats tend to have very pink noses, and as they grow older, this goes darker, sometimes even black. Maybe hopefully a little bit later, when one of the lead lionesses stand up, you'll see their noses are completely black. Yeah, she's really getting in there, trying to clean all the little bits of fluid through. We've got a question from Luca and Nico about how many miles per hour a lion can run. So Luca and Nico, here in South Africa, I am so sorry, but we work in kilometers per hour. And I know a charging speed of a lion at top speed is 22 meters per second, which I think translates to about 80 kilometers an hour. So that would most probably be about 50 miles per hour. Maybe just check the conversion. Could actually hear the bit of a groan there as one lion was rolled onto another one and the other one was trying to get out of it. It's quite interesting. The wildebeest has now stopped alarm calling. I think he's made his presence quite clear. Sophie, who's 10 years old, just asked us, why does the lion have blue eyes? Sophie, it is all just to do with genes, genetic. So I read up about it a little bit more, and it turns out that not all white lions have blue eyes. Some of them have normal colored eyes, a bit light green, yellowish. It's all just to do with genetics. It just so happens that both of these have that bluish greyish tinge in their eyes, the pigmentation. So while Marcel and I have been sitting here, we've also been bitten by a few flies, and you can actually see they are irritating the pride. So we got a question from Sebastian, who's 12 years old, asking about the mane of a lion and what's its purpose. So Sebastian, first of all, it acts as protection. When male lions do fight with each other, they usually go for the rump and the backside, but they'll also definitely not or easily go for the neck of a different male lion and try to injure them as quickly as possible. What it does serve as is it makes them look a lot bigger and more attractive to the lionesses, the female lions. And so what they did a few studies and found that the lionesses are actually more attracted to lions with bigger manes than they are with lions without manes. So around here in this pride, at this very stage, there's not really a very large male lion that I can show you with an impressive mane. The young male there in the back, he's only about 3 years and 7 months old, approaching 4 quite quickly. And he's still got just a tiny mane. Nothing to brag about just yet. So patiently waiting for this little white lioness to stand up and go join the rest of the pride in the back. So while we wait for her, it seems that James, oh, look at those eyes. It seems that James has gotten to the hyena den, so I'm going to send you back to Djuma.
I've arrived at the hyena den, and I think you've just come here, perhaps at the right time. It looked a little bit like we were about to see a cub there. Now, if you're just joining us for the first time, this is Ribbon, and she is the matriarch of the Djuma clan. And you can see that her personal hygiene is not great because she's covered in flies, but that doesn't matter for a hyena. And inside that termite mound, she's got 2 little cubs. And we're hoping desperately to try and see them. We've seen them once, and that's all. They can't be more than 2 weeks old, and it's a real patience game when you want to see little hyena cubs in a den like this. Hello Nathan, just 5 years old in the United Kingdom, wondering if these hyenas live alone. No Nathan, they don't live alone. They live in clans, but often they spend time alone. They don't always spend time with the rest of the group. And so you'll find that they go looking for food on their own, and then if they've got babies, they come and they hang around at a den like this. And that's what Ribbon's doing here. She's had a bit of a fight last night. She wasn't here this morning, and if you look at her ear, just the one ear that we can see, it's covered in blood, and it looks to me like she was bitten there, quite possibly by another hyena. I wonder if there was a fight in the clan, or maybe she had a tussle with a lion. That's possible. But whatever I reckon it's another hyena, and I'll tell you why. I think that she was facing her attacker. So she had a face-on attack. Often, if they are set upon by lions, you'll see puncture wounds on their backsides because they try and run away from the lions. They don't want to try and have a fight with the lions. But with their own kind, they'll turn and face and try and defend themselves. That looks like another hyena got hold of her ear. That's very strange, it's quite interesting, and I suppose might explain why she wasn't here this morning. Oof, it's quite a nasty wound. Well, Georgia in Cape Town, there's a really good reason why she's made her den here. It's because she didn't make it at all. Hyenas use the dens dug by aardvark or ant bear. And so they don't really choose how to make the dens, but these are really good dens, Georgia, because they're waterproof. You know, there's space under there and shelter from the rain. They're really good when the cubs want to be protected from predators like lions or other hyenas that might want to harm them. They are safe inside there. It's warm, and so it's a really good place for cubs to be. And I'm just going to do something very naughty right now and express a special welcome to 2 special terrorist boys that are my nephews that live in Johannesburg, William and Jack. Hello, chaps, aged 5 and nearly 7. I hope you're enjoying this. Please behave, and you may ask some questions if you want, but you can only put your hand up and your father will send the questions through to us. Thank you. Hi, guys. Right, I'm going to sit here for a little while, make sure that the hyena cubs come out. We'll hope that the hyena cubs come out. While I do that, let's go back to Trishala, who's got a little predator.
I do have a tiny little predator. It is a tropical tent web spider. How awesome is this? Now this web is right next to the road, so it's really nice and clear to see. And can you see how funky the web is? And you can tell why it's called a tropical tent web spider, because it does look like a tent, don't you think? It looks almost like a net in which to catch stuff. And that's exactly why it is designed this way. There's a bowl at the bottom, and that's sticky web. You get different types of web. Sometimes the silk is sticky, sometimes it's not sticky. And all the fine bits at the top above that bowl-like part of the web, those are non-sticky bits. So insects will come flying around and will bump into that non-sticky parts of the web and then fall into the bowl where the spider is waiting. And then the spider grabs it and has a feast. Now we know how spiders feed, don't we? They have fangs with venom in it, and then it puts those fangs into its prey and injects it with some venom. And then the insides of the prey all get liquidy, like a soup. If it were a grasshopper, it would be grasshopper soup inside, and then they suck out that digested body material that's inside of the insect. But insects have a hard outer skeleton. We call that an exoskeleton. And when the spider is drinking the grasshopper, or whichever other prey is in there, they leave that hard exoskeleton, that hard outside bit. It's very, very interesting to watch, shall we say. Don't you think that the spider itself is very beautiful? I think so. Now, they're not always by themselves like this, tropical tent web spiders. Sometimes you get lots of tent webs in one tree, and they kind of semi-live together. They're not interested in each other, but they don't mind being next to each other. We call them territorial, and in that case, semi-territorial. Hi, Sophie in London. How are you? You'd like to know how old can this spider get? I'm not sure how old this spider can get. Generally speaking, spiders that build webs like this, we call these webs orb webs or semi-orb web when it's modified like this. They usually live for a season, so that means a year or so. But this specific spider, I can't say that I know the age that it would get to. But normally, it would be about a year. Now, spiders that are big and hairy, like tarantulas, or the ones we get here, baboon spiders, those ones live for quite a long time. We're talking over 10 years. But the ones in webs, big webs like these, usually not longer than a year. Adrian, Tessa, and Becklin, welcome aboard. You'd like to know how strong is a spider's web? Well, I'll tell you that it is stronger than steel. So when people say that, that means if you took a spider web in your hand, one strand of silk, and you had a steel that is the equal size of that silk, the silk would be stronger than the steel. Now, silk can actually expand as well. So when it's wet or moist, it can be pulled, stretched, and contorted about 30 to couple 100 times its normal length, which is very, very impressive. If you had to do that with steel, it would break immediately. So it is very, very, very strong. In fact, I think that when I grow up, I would love to be able to find a way to create spider silk so that we could use them in bridges and other kind of construction, because it's so strong. It's very, very complex. There's lots of detail that goes into it and lots of different types of molecules. Molecules are just different chemicals that all bind together. And when the silk is inside of the body of the spider, it's a liquidy sort of little bowl that it sits in. And then the spider has spinnerets on the underside, on its abdomen, and then it pushes out the silk. And as soon as it comes out into the air, it becomes solid like what we see, which is awesome. It's a very, very complex material. Some people in the world have made kind of useless things out of them too, like a dress and ties. But I want to do something a little bit more meaningful. Anyway, we're going to move on from our spider now and keep on looking for a special leopard on this side. His name is Hukumuri. Hopefully we'll find him, but we'll send you back over to Rowan in the meantime.
I'm actually very excited to see Trisha's design once she does grow up. So we decided to change our position just slightly because majority of the pride actually moved this way and decided to settle here. So you can see the little white line is still cleaning herself. Every now and then she turns back to her mother and she cleans her as well. And then there's a soft growl, depends where she licks her. You're really getting into that foot now as well. Yeah, so when she licks her mother, it's actually quite funny to watch. She'll lick her one side, maybe just below the neck or on the face, and the mother turns around. It's almost like asking to, lick the back of my head, clean here, to clean this, clean that. One of the older lionesses there in the back. She's now lifted her head just slightly, maybe just checking for danger quick. So Luca is 7 years old, and he just asked if lions have a mate that they are loyal to for life. So Luca, no. Lions don't do that. What often happens is you would get either big male lion that would be territorial over pride, or a coalition, which means brothers or lions, male lions that joined up to become a coalition, to act as brothers that take over territory, and they'll take over pride. But they can only maintain and hold their territory usually for about 3 to 4 years at a push, and then they are usually shoved out by new, stronger, younger male lions, and then so it means the lionesses have new mates coming in about every 3 or 4 years, so they're not loyal to each other for life, what we would call monogamous. There's that beautiful face of her mother rolling over, gonna cuddle the other cub. Oh, maybe not cuddle yet, just stretch out. They're really enjoying their sleepy time. Actually, I'm quite excited for that lioness to stand up. See how she moves her head on the ground just to scratch it a little bit. So we got a question from Bailey Ray, who's 6 years old, asking which animal is more fierce, a lion or a cheetah. So Bailey Ray, a lion without a doubt. To give an idea, that lioness that just moved her head and scratched it and also rolled over a bit, we think she probably weighs somewhere between 170 to 180 kilograms. And this is a lioness. A male lion could go up to about 250 kilograms, whereas a cheetah would only weigh maximum maybe 70 kilograms. and that's maximum weight. So as you can imagine, the weight difference means also a lot of power difference. So a lion is definitely more powerful. Well, it looks like the little lioness, the white one, has now finished cleaning herself and looking for something else to do. Wake up and be naughty. Go wake the rest of the pride up. It's often the younger animals that start to play a lot earlier. We got a question from Emma, who's 9, and from the beautiful mother city of Cape Town. Hi, Emma. She asked whether a lion will jump in your car if it's hungry. Not this pride. Emma, I can truthfully tell you that, but I can also say that it has happened before where lions jumped in cars. It's not a very pretty story. So I suppose it depends where they grow up and the way they grow up. See, these lions, they've never really had the taste for humans, so it's not really something that they would enjoy eating, or they don't know if they would enjoy eating it. They'd much rather go for something like a zebra or a wildebeest or impala, nicer food for lions than a very bony human being. Also, the gap of a window isn't the greatest thing to jump into, unless you're talking about my car that has no roof, no windows, and also I am missing the side door, which hopefully today won't be the first time that they do decide to jump in a car. But for now, it looks like we are rather safe. They don't seem too focused on us at all. Rather very sleepy, as they were the other day, as is normal for lions during the day. Must say, these white lions aren't very clean at the moment. It's actually quite nice to see how brown and tawny they look. Her head is almost the color of her mother's head that's lying next to her. Just see, we were having a look at it a little bit earlier, and the amount of ticks on these animals is phenomenal. So we've got a very interesting question from Mila and Ashi, who are 5 and 6 years old, asking about the black tips on the lion's ears and what purpose do they serve. So they are most commonly known as follow me signs, and you'll notice that they also have it on the tips of their tails. So I'm hoping that one of the older or the tawny lions might actually be bothered by a fly soon. You'll see the tail whip back, and they've got like a little black pom-pom on the tip of the tail, as well as black on the ears. And it's often to show other lions where they are, especially when they move through thick grass, maybe when they start stalking something. But also what we've noticed is the youngsters, when they are very small and they try keep up with the pride through very long grass, of course the pride's colors, their tawny color, really blends in very well, and the black on the tips of the ears, the black on the tip of the tail is what sticks out the most. So it'd be easier for the youngsters also to follow the tail through the grass, snaking. Very good question. Keep them coming, please. We've got a herd of impala standing just to the left of us, about 250 meters away. Nazir, who's 4 years old, just asked how long do lions sleep for. Deep sleep, I can't give you an honest answer at all. I can tell you that they are basically lethargic and very lazy. For about 20 hours out of the day, they'll spend doing exactly what they are doing now. So it seems that the herd of impala, they are just to our left, also behind the same sort of bush. Marcel, I don't think you'll be able to see them there. But they are staring this direction, and they might be seeing this little white lioness clean herself. So they Oh, there she goes. She's up and awake. Let's see if she wakes up any of the others. Big stretch. Good. Who are you going to go irritate? Wake them up. No, no, she's just looking for some body heat maybe. Still not done cleaning. I absolutely love the way that a lion would just go lie on top of another lion, and it's like the other lion does not mind at all. He'll just shift a little bit and carry on sleeping. If this was a human being, there'd be quite a few words said and a grumpy little grunt, and they'll move off. Okay, so while she's still cleaning herself and the rest of the lions still very lazing the day away, I'm going to send you back to James, who just arrived at a dam.
I've just arrived at this waterhole and nothing is here to have a drink, and in fact there isn't even a bird. All there is that terrapin, and he's enjoying some privacy on this Saturday afternoon. A terrapin, for our younger viewers and some of the older ones, is a freshwater turtle basically. Can't really live only on land, needs to have water, and it's a little predator. So it'll eat insects and tadpoles and frogs, and sometimes it'll even scavenge meat. So if a crocodile kills something and leaves a piece of meat, they'll eat that too. Ooh, Brian, you're 17 and at a crucial juncture in your life and wondering how one would get into safaris or guiding safaris. There are lots of different ways of doing it. I would strongly suggest that if you can, financially and academically, if you can, that you do a degree, ideally in biology of some description. If you want to be a guide, it's not absolutely essential, but if you want to make a career of it, a good, thorough academic background in biology can help. If you can't do that, for whatever reason it is, there are lots of courses you can do around the country that will qualify you to take game drives. You need to be over 21 before you can guide legally, however, so you'd have to do a bit of study beforehand. Getting audio. Sorry, 1 second. 1 second there.
It's back.
Okay. Sorry about that. So, some courses will offer you a 3-month course and say you're qualified. Others will offer you a year-long course. Ideally, if you had the option and you could go and join a group like andBeyond, where Ngala is, or that Ngala belongs to their stable, and do the same kind of training course that I did many years back, but that Rowan did more recently, that would be probably your best route into guiding. That would be my advice, but there are hundreds of different ways of doing it. If you can, I would do a degree first, even if it's not in biology, just so that you've got something to back you up, because you can only guide after you're 21 years old. Shout if that is not clear enough, and I'll do my best to clear it up for you further. Doing this kind of guiding is a bit different. Obviously, there are no guests on the back of the car, and you need a little bit more experience to do this kind of stuff, because the audience is that much wider, and it's just a slightly different sort of job, where you just need to have a broader knowledge and greater experience. But you certainly don't have to have done it for as long as I've been doing it. You can, a year or two would be probably sufficient, depending on your aptitude. So it's quite pretty here, very peaceful, but unfortunately there ain't much going on in terms of animal life. We'll just quickly have a look at that foam nest frog over there. Can you see that, Owen?
Yes.
And I don't think the frog's actually there. I think it's just the foam nest. And for those of you who don't know, this is a rather fascinating frog called a foam nest frog, or grey tree frog. And what it does is it lays its eggs in that foamy mass. The foamy mass gets hard to protect the eggs from predators and from the sun and from getting too dry. And then when they're ready to hatch, they eat their way out and drop into the water below as tadpoles. and that's where they experience their metamorphosis. And it's the only frog I know of that does that. And it's quite clever, because it means that the eggs are not vulnerable to being preyed upon. And I think that that foam is probably, if it's not toxic, it certainly tastes very bad to any potential predators that might want to eat frogs' eggs for breakfast. I'm quite sure there are many of you who would not like to eat frogs' eggs for breakfast. So I think we'll probably move on from here and see if we can perhaps happen upon an elephant or two, and if we're really, really lucky, we'll find ourselves a leopard. But we'll have to be really lucky. In the meantime, Trishala has found a little herbivore, basically.
I have a little friend. A little friend. Can you spot it? There you go. With the help of Darby, you've spotted our lovely little chameleon. Whoops. Caterpillar. Sorry, guys. I'm so obsessed with chameleons, and I've been looking for them, and they're on my mind. But this is, in fact, a caterpillar. And you can see it's really, really hairy. Now, why would a caterpillar be hairy like that? I don't know if you've ever tried to touch one, or mistakenly sat on one, or mistakenly put your hand on one. Those little hairs can irritate your skin quite a bit. I've sat on one, unfortunately. It was the last thing that the caterpillar saw, and the rash on me lasted a couple days. But it can be very painful. And the reason for that is that birds like to eat caterpillars. They're juicy, they're soft, and they're tasty. And they also can't walk too fast, so they're good. They have a nice sort of access to caterpillars. So the caterpillars have to have a defense, and these little hairs help that out. So the bird would pick it up and then realize, ooh, these spiny little hairs are irritable, and I'm going to drop you down. And caterpillars are actually quite strong. It's hard to smash one. Even when I sat on my one, the one that I sat on, it didn't smash. But at least when I left it, it was not capable of movement. But they don't get smashed. And this is a very, very good looking caterpillar. You can see the eyes in front, or at least they look like eyes, right? But they're actually not. At this stage, they don't have the big compound eyes that we see with insects. And they also look like they don't have 6 legs. Now, all insects have 6 legs in compound eyes, and this guy looks like he's got eyes, but he really doesn't have those compound eyes. And I'm just going to turn this around so you can see the legs. I'm just going to hold that there so we can see the legs. Kai, you'd like to know how long is this caterpillar? Oh, good idea, Darby. Darby had a good idea. So, I'm going to put my finger for you there, Kai, but I'm going to try not to get any of those spines on me. It's about the length of my index finger. That's my pointy finger. That's how long it is. Fairly average. Now, I want to show you the legs and the underneath, so I'm just going to tilt like this. Now, can you see that there seem to be so many legs? There seem to be 1 pair, 2 pairs, 3 pairs in front here that look different to these ones. Here we have 4 pairs. So could it be that it's got 12 legs altogether, or 14 legs altogether? Unlikely for an insect. Insects only have 6, and that's because these legs here are fake legs. The only real ones are up there. How awesome is that? I think it's pretty cool. Oh, well, that draws a close to our 45 minutes kids session. So we invite all the rest of you to start sending in your questions as well using the hashtag WildEarth. And now we'll take you all on a game drive as well. And we'll say goodbye to our caterpillar friend. Or at least try to. Super cool, right? I'm just doing my duty of putting it back where it belongs. Okay, back off into the tree you go, lovely caterpillar. And while I send this one back to its home, I'll send you guys off to Ngala.
Very good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to andBeyond Ngala. My name is Rowan, I'll be your guide, and behind the camera I've got Marcel, and then of course in front of the camera we have the beautiful Birmingham Pride. They were found this morning just after game drive ended. Yapi and Nikki actually spent about an hour tracking them. So they were off on foot, just trying to follow the tracks, and they walked zigzag across the road, down into the river, back onto the road, then a little bit off the road again. They lost the tracks and they found the tracks again, and it took them just over an hour to find this pride. So very well done to Yapi and Nikki for this beautiful view. We've got 13 lions here in total now, so we're missing 3, which would make up the total of the Birmingham Pride. We are missing both the Ross males and the sub-adult lioness, the sister of the young male lion that you see lying there just behind the little white lioness. All very sleepy now. It's quite funny that all of the lions are touching one another except the little white one, or the larger white one, is just lying off to the side. I'll be honest, I'm also very, very thrilled that Yapi and Nikki found the Birmingham Pride. It's lovely. It's just an incredible day. Every single day spent with these majestic animals are amazing. I've got a question from Gremlins General asking how many white lions are in this pride. So we only have 2 in this pride, and it is 2 of only 3 wild white lions in the world. Emphasis there being on wild white lions. So the one is a little girl. She is just over 11.5 months, nearly a year, and then the other one is a little white male, and he just passed 18 months, so just over a year and a half. 6 months between the 2. There's a total of 8 cubs here, so 3 of them being young males, and then 5 of them being young lionesses. It's funny to see this female, how she's resting her head on one of the cubs, almost using it as a pillow. So while they sleep, while she's using that little cub as a pillow, I'm going to send you to James, who actually has one of my favorite birds, the most beautiful call. Going to James.
No, we had one of Rowan's favourite birds. It's now gone. But there's some other interesting birds in the top of that dead tree over there. Ooh. Very interesting. There are 3 or 4 species. We've got some helmet shrikes. White-crowned helmet shrikes. Keep going. We've got a grey-headed sparrow. Keep going. We've got a black-crowned chagra. Keep going. There was also a yellow-throated petronia in there, believe it or not, right at the top. See if the yellow-throated petronia is still there, Owen. No, I don't think that's it. There was a weaver as well. A white-crested helmet shrike, by the way, not white-crowned helmet shrike. Ooh, and there's the sound of the Steerling's wren warbler. Isn't that a cool sound? Tick, 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 tick. I don't know that we've ever put one on camera. That is the Petronia. No, it's not. That is the Chagra. Sorry. Let's go back a bit. If we can see the Steerling's wren warbler, I shall be filled with a great sense of joy and well-being.